Yeah, this is my second take of shooting this because I deleted my first one. Got a text message from a guy wanting to know what wheel adapters I had and what they fit. I have never advertised wheel adapters for sale. When I've had some to sell, they either went to swap meets or were traded off to people that knew me, traded for things. I had one set that I got from a four-wheel drive guy, and I traded those back to him. I might have one or two in the storage locker, or some bolt pattern spacers that space a wheel out that just slide loosely over the lugs. But I don't have any wheel pattern adapters for sale. And I sent the guy back, the response of, I have no wheel adapters for sale. And he sends me back a message, I know you have them, you told me you had some. And I'm thinking, well, this has to be the guy that bought the tire that's from Marion, Ohio. It's a 740 area code. And he had a 740 area code, but yeah, he came from Marion, Ohio, which I didn't understand. I mean, that should be far enough over that that's it should be 419 or 614, not 740. But I could be wrong on things, and never know, it could be a work cell phone or something. He might work further out, but he had came here from outside of Marion. And yeah, I know I use that word way too much. I'm showing you this. I have a set of I have a pair of 15 by 10 Pro Comp wheels. Yeah, it was a set of 4. One got stolen where it was stored, and then I sold one, and I still have 2 remaining. I sold 3 33 10 50 tires. I'm sorry, 3 33 1250 15 tires. 2 were there on front of a 07 up Dodge truck, or I'm sorry, 02 up Dodge truck, 02 to 07 style, and a half ton, and the woman drove it with bad ball joints. Went through one set of tires, put another set of tires on them, drove them till the insides were bald. Then she put stock wheels and tires back on the thing all the way around, and left it jacked up with stock tires on there. People do goofy things. Anywho, that's neither here nor there. So I know I told that guy that I was going to buy a set of wheel adapters, but then I ended up needing to spend $200 to get a matching wheel that was the same, because I don't want 3 wheels and a 4th that's different and has a different weight to it. That's just asking for driveline trouble. I mean, you always keep your wheels on your axles in matching pairs, kind of. Yeah, you can go to a swap meet, you can get 2 Chevy Rally wheels that were made years apart, but they're the same size and they have roughly the same weight. And you could go and look through 100 Rally wheels and find 2 that are really close. I've done that before. Now, Chevy Rally wheels are not as common at swap meets as they were 20 years ago. And you gotta remember, I've been doing swap meets. I used to sell a lot of them for over 20 years. So, anyways, back to my point. This guy, he's getting testy and rude with me and demanding. And I'm telling him, no, I don't have a wheel adapter. I know you've got some. You told me you had some. No, you may have misunderstood me. You may not have heard me right. But if I have any right now, it'd be 1 or 2. They'd be mismatches or possibly scrap. I still have stuff where I help my one buddy is a car dealer again when he closed down his one lot. I made him a deal, and I hauled stuff for him and did things for him, and in return I hauled off about 4 loads of parts that became mine. And yeah, long story there, but anyways, if I got some that came out of his stuff, I would not be comfortable selling it unless I inspected it with a magnifying glass and made sure I didn't see any cracks in it. It might have been stuff that I kept just to knock the steel studs out and scrap aluminum, or if they're steel, they're worth a lot more money. But anyways, It's nothing I have advertised for sale or would have mentioned to somebody that's in my private hoard of parts. Now, I did mention to a couple folks that I have frame brackets for a 73 to 87 truck or 73 to 91 Suburban frame to make a two-wheel drive frame, four-wheel drive, or replace the front spring hangers on the four-wheel drive frame. And I'm pretty sure I had the correct rear of the front spring hangers too, with the bolts. And that is stuff that I mentioned to some people that I have in my private stash. I was throwing the line out there to see if the fish were nibbling on them, but I got some crack-headed answers, and it's like, that's $300 worth of GM frame brackets. These are brand new with decals. I think that somebody special ordered them at a Chevy dealer. I then never picked them up. And I got them from a guy that buys inventory from a GM dealer, or from multiple GM dealers. So those are in my private reserve, and it's like, yeah, they're not. I'm not coming off those for chump change. I know what they're worth. I know they're out of production, and they fit half-ton, three-quarter-ton, 1 ton, and 1 ton heavy-duty frames. They're all the same. They're the same on the military D1 and D3 frames, which, if you don't know what that is, that's your CUCV frames in either the Blazer or the 1 ton truck. So, yeah, I've got things in my private reserve of parts that I might tease people about selling that are just not for sale unless somebody says, hey, do you have this still? And I say yes. And they throw out a ludicrous offer of money. Then stuff like that becomes for sale. But don't send me a text saying, I know you have these wheel adapters. What brand are they and what do they fit? Because the answer is, I don't have a set of wheel adapters. I don't have any wheel adapters for sale. And right now, if I have any in my hoard of parts, it's stuff that's not for sale. So that means, yeah, you're not getting them. I'm not going over there and digging them out. Even if one of my good friends calls me and says, I need one, I'd be leery to go over there and dig these out. Just unless I knew that they really, really needed it and they'd be better off getting mine than driving an hour from here to Jegs in Columbus. When last time I needed to buy wheel adapters and I wanted new ones, I went to Jegs and I bought 4 3/4 to 4 3/4 small bolt Chevy rear wheel drive, and they're about that thick, which is what I needed to make the wheels I was using clear my PBR brake calipers I put on, which are 98 to 2002 Camaro or 98 to 2002 Trans Am with the Made in Australia PBR calipers, which means you had the big heavy duty 1LE brake package. Somehow I acquired a 342 rear end at an auction for $15. It was a salvage auction that had been shipped from coast to coast, and the shipping crate came apart. They lost all the labeling, all the tags off it, and so the freight company sold it at a salvage auction. I've bought a few things at those salvage auctions like that, and I've done well with them because I know what the part is. I can check it out. How about this whole rear axle assembly? $15. Let's see. I sold one axle for $50 to a guy that needed just an axle. So I had to take it partially apart, and I had to take the brake off and everything. So then I had the brake caliper carrier exposed, and I had my S10 Blazer on the lift, and I had my axles out. I was swapping the carrier from the G80 GovLock, which failed, to a Auburn posi carrier out of a Chevrolet Monza. You heard me right. And the Monza was a 2 Series carrier, and my truck was a 342, so it had a 3 Series carrier. So I had to use a $60 ring gear spacer. Went to Jegs, got the shim kit, and reshimmed the carrier. And the bearings were fine on it. The races were good. I changed, everything over, made everything right. And I was just looking at, those disc brake brackets. I went and unbolted it because my wheel cylinders were shot, and my drum brakes had gotten packed full of mud and little gravel when I got stuck in the mud. And my rear drums, that the stuff had been fixed like 2,000-3,000 miles before. It was all laid up, and wheel cylinder was leaking, so brake fluid had got to it, and then mud. So pretty much the shoes on the one side were just the metal backing plates, and the drums they were just trashed, and they were not old drums. They were only had like 3,000 miles on them. So I was kind of frustrated, and I'm looking at this disc brake backing plate, and I'm going, hey, I trimmed this stupid wheel cylinder mount off the top of this differential, because it has that style where it comes up in an A and there's a hole and it goes through there instead of having the clip that retains it. So I cut that down and I turned that caliper mount at an angle, and I had enough material to bolt it on. So I did it. I bought wheel adapters for that. I had to use ARE, American Racing Equipment wheels. They were 15x8, and they were made for 2-wheel drive trucks. You put them on 4-wheel drive trucks, it stuck out so much. Well, with the wheel adapters I put on there, it gave me just enough of an out spacing that at full axle articulation, one of the rear tires would just stuff right up into the wheel well. It just worked out perfectly. And that's what I had to do to clear those big rear disc brakes. I mean, I tried some other 15-inch wheels, and they rubbed. Now, 16-inch wheels, no issue. But the problem was 16-inch wheels and 4 3/4 bolt pattern that had 4-wheel drive S10 back spacing. I would have had to go to 4th gen Camaro or Trans Am wheels, which I just did not have any around. The 2 wheels I put on the back of that thing were some that were left over from a vehicle I'd bought. I had nothing in them. I had a set of 4 at one time, they got stolen. I also used to have a set of 15x10 4.5 wheels that were American Racing, what you call either the Gambler style, where they're, or not Gambler, I'm sorry, the Gold Nugget, where the inside's gold and the outside's got the polished chrome band. They have the little black bolts, or they were, they weren't aluminum, so they were the Gamblers. Outlaw 1s and American Racing wheels don't have the rivets around them. Outlaw 2s had the rivets around them, but they're both aluminum. And they made similar wheels in steel, and so many designs over the years, it's ridiculous. But anyways, when you're asking somebody for something, don't assume that you send me a message going, what wheel adapters do you have and whether they fit, that I know what the heck you're talking about, or that I recognize your phone number. Because unless you're somebody I talk to frequently, you text me once or twice, or in this case, I think this guy was a guy that came down July 10th and bought a wheel, or bought a tire, I'm sorry. I think it was July 10th. Anyways, after you bought something from me on Craigslist, I wait about 3 days, and then I delete the messages out of my phone. I have enough things on my phone to take up the memory. I don't need it full of 500 text conversations from people I'll never hear from again. Alright, well, I've babbled on enough for now. Just remember, when you're texting somebody about something, a part, or anything they have advertised, be as specific as possible. People may have no idea what you're talking about. They might have more than one of something. For instance, I have more than one wheel that I have had advertised in last year. I have more than 40 hubcaps. I have a whole bunch of little GM center of aluminum wheel center caps. So be specific, because elsewise nobody understands what the heck you need.